Cloud storage. It's only becoming more and more prevalent in our everyday lives, but in saying this, how secure is your data really when utilizing such services? Well, that depends on a couple of different factors. What kind of data are you going to be storing within the cloud? Is it going to be a few text documents loaded with next week's shopping list? Or is it going to be of a more tender nature? Maybe even grandma's cake recipe? Regardless of the information you want to be storing in the cloud, it is important to understand that whatever you decide to send into the great beyond, the cloud, is, at its fundamental level, just some other guy's computer, server, whatever you want to say. What I mean by this is that you cannot be certain of any of the guarantees the cloud storage provider may try to give you, unless of course you visit the place where your data is actually physically located, and that's not really possible for the average person such as me, or in all likelihood you. If I rewind for a second, there is a critical concept that you should understand when it comes to the transmission, storage and usage of data, and that is the acronym CIA. No, I'm not referring to the glow boys located at the funny shaped building. What I'm actually referring to is the confidentiality, integrity and availability of the data in question. In essence, if any one of these three fundamentals are broken or not strictly adhered to, then any data protection guarantees given by the company hosting the data are practically void. There are laws that create enforcement guidelines and give punishments to businesses and organisations if they were to break these fundamental concepts around data protection and privacy. For example, the European Union's GDPR laws, which prohibit the unsecure storage of certain types of information for extended periods of time, among a wide variety of other things that we will definitely not be going into right now. Which leads us back to the kind of data that is being stored in the cloud. For the sake of convenience, many people and organisations keep sensitive data in the cloud, and whilst not inherently bad in and of itself, this can dramatically increase the chances of the foundational CIA principles being violated with the data that they are deciding to put in the cloud. We don't want this to happen, obviously. Cloud storage providers such as Microsofts Onedrive, Google Drive or even iCloud may be owned and operated by some of the largest tech companies in the world, but that does not make them immune to being compromised. In fact, I'd argue they're much more susceptible to infiltration, either physically with a sketchy black USB a government official decided needed to be plugged into a very specific server rack, no questions asked, Men in Black style, or by plain old virus or ransomware attacks. Even DDoSing the servers to prevent users from accessing their stored data could be utilised. Again, unless you've seen with your own eyes the process in which these companies use to implement confidentiality, integrity and availability, how can you even be sure that a cloud storage service such as OneDrive isn't just creating a couple extra keys to the supposedly end-to-end encrypted data? In my opinion, the security through obscurity philosophy cloud storage companies to hide behind when making justifications for their software and opaque operational security measures, they result in little benefits and only serve to prolong the inevitable security issues. Contrast that, the cloud storage world of big tech that care little for the true security of your data as long as their bottom line isn't affected, of course, with the simple life. The life of, dare I say, local backups, using your own storage mediums such as SSDs and hard drives. But cloud storage and storing redundancies for your data are two quite different things. Indeed, they are. Here's the rationale behind it. A significant amount of people who utilize the aforementioned cloud storage services use it as a way to store all of the data that they use day to day for work or otherwise. Think workplaces, colleges, universities, the like. If the worst was to happen and all of that data suddenly becomes unavailable because of some huge botnet DDoS against you or your internet service provider, or even an attack against the cloud storage provider themselves, that data suddenly becomes a world away. A phrase I heard at some point during my time at school was, data that exists in one place doesn't exist at all. And with possible events such as this being feasible or even more likely to happen in the future due to the increasing number of people using cloud storage as their primary way to store data, makes the argument for at least a localized backup all the more convincing. Or at least a good idea. So, with all of that said, how secure is your data in the cloud? If I'm brutally honest, it's not a question of if a data breach or a denial of service issue is likely within a set time period, but more of a question of when it will occur and how severe the consequences of it will be. As always, if you believe I'm talking a bunch of hocus pocus, then let me know in the comments. I enjoy reading about other people's opinions and the likelihood of a near catastrophic event like this one described, or even if you think it's a plausible event to happen at all. Have yourself a good rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.